Okay, round of applause. We fucking...
We did it. Well,
would you like to kick us off since this is your amazing idea?
I think it's a collab, actually. It's a collab cam.
Are we collabing?
We're collabing. This is the Professionally Hot podcast, and we're so professionally hot that we just took like 45 minutes to figure this out, but it's because we're hot and professional. So
yeah, nobody talks about how you didn't have to be like smart to be professionally hot before. You just press one button and Flash Player was like, I got you. What are we doing now?
That makes so much sense for why MFC is the way it is. It's because they thought we were really stupid, and
it was idiot proof.
Well, they just need a couple buttons, But we had
there was one button.
A time. Start
one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave us the ability to not have to do the math ourselves when we got tipped, which was really nice. They at least gave us something.
I love the back in my day, I had to do math. Like, wow, archaic.
It was hard.
That was the only time that I was able to add, actually. The only time in my life that I able to add.
It did not work for me.
Yeah. We are off to a roaring start. All right.
Yes. Professionally hot. I feel like we should just start off by talking about how we both got into the biz, because it's been 10 years. Congrats on 10 years. Go Ashley.
Yes.
You did it.
Thank you very much.
What did I say yesterday? You're a centurion?
Yeah, she's like, you're a centurion. I'm like, I feel like a centurion, but it's been a decade only, actually.
100
I'm 100. I'm 100 in CAMGIRL years.
Yeah. And I love
actually, both of us are 100 in CAMGIRL years, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's also my 10 years, but I am not celebrating until September. But tell us how you started, how you found camming.
Yeah, let's do that. Through a beautiful, wholesome, safe place for like late teen, early adults to be on was a website actually called tumblr.com. It was
never heard of that. Please tell me more.
Really good for your mental health. It was so good for your mental health there. It was really a good spot to be at. And I was super mentally well at the time. No, I was not.
As we are.
Yeah, no, I found camming. I'd actually been interested in sex work for, I mean, kind of forever, but we can get into that later. Like, I was poking around. I tried to be a dominatrix online for like 2 seconds because I saw someone on LiveJournal do it. And I was like 19 years old. And I was like, hell yeah, I want someone to mail me a designer bag. Yeah, that didn't work out because like I apologize for everything all the time. I'm not that. I'm a terrible dominatrix. I did a terrible job. Yeah, I was laughably bad. We can talk about experiences with that at some other time. And then I tried to be a sugar baby. Yeah, we can
have our own Dom episode, I think would be good.
Oh my God, yeah. And I mean, your sugar baby episode would be a whole tale. But mine was, I went on 3 dates and realized I hate talking to people in real life.
That's why I never became a stripper. I was like, I will end up getting fired. Like, I can't do it. I can't be in person.
No, I can't. And so I kind of hung up the towel or whatever the fucking phrase is. I was like, I guess that's not, I guess I'm, yeah. Yeah. That. The towel. I was like, now, giving up on it. Yeah, I kind of gave up on it until I was on Tumblr and a girl that I follow that was actually a good friend of mine, like IRL even. We like hung out one time in real life. Anyway. She made a post about, she's like, yeah, I'm working in a porn shop, like selling fucking pornos in real life. This is 10 years ago.
Like VCRs or like DVDs?
Dude, I know. VHS. Definitely DVDs. It wasn't, I mean, it feels like it was that long ago. Yeah, it does. No, but my homie made a post and she's like, yeah, I've started like webcamming a couple times a week, just for like some extra cash. And she had said that she was non-nude. She's like, yeah, I don't strip or anything. And I had heard about webcamming, but only insofar as like porn site ads, And so when I messaged her and I was like, what do you mean you're not getting naked? And she was like, you can do whatever you want. Like, you don't have to get naked. I just like strip down to my underwear and dance around and like talk to dudes. And I make like maybe $100 a month, like here and there. And I was like, your girl could use $100 a month, man. Like,
Yeah, like,
I could
I'll do
really
it
use
anytime.
that right about now. And I was like, I like
sounds very
dancing.
wholesome.
Yeah, I like the internet. I like talking to people. And so I made an account on MFC and I told myself if I made more than $100, I would keep doing it. And if I made less, I would delete the account and never tell anyone ever again. Girl, I made $400 my first night. I was like, this is
Hell
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was, and it clicked. I was like, this is going to
Yeah.
change my entire
I'm
fucking
doing
life.
it.
And it did. How about you, Kate?
Yeah.
Your turn.
Okay, well, we were talking about how we got started. And,
Yeah, so your turn.
Mine's pretty similar to yours. It was the wonderful site of Tumblr. And I was dating someone at the time that was like obsessed with cam girls, and Sabrina Nelly was one of the main ones. And
Gotta
I
go
just remember
figure.
seeing like her. Yeah, I know, right? I remember seeing her in her apartment and being like, what is this girl doing and how do I do that? And I just like signed up. I made like a Twitter. I didn't have like any plans to do anything, but like the more that my ex was like, I don't know if I want you doing that, the more I wanted to. I was like nannying at the time and it was a horrible experience. Literally went home crying like every single day because the kids
Oh my
were just
God.
like awful. And I just like knew I had been like working for my parents and stuff and like doing other office jobs, but like I did not want to leave my house and just thought that that would be a good idea. And I same thing as you. I signed up first night, made like $300 or something, and yeah, I had like a member in there named Jack the Zipper, and he ended up coming in like 5 years later and was like, I feel like I remember you. And yeah, it was just like from there, I was like, you know what? And I remember telling one of my friends too, like, I'm gonna start camming, and she was like, no, like you shouldn't do that. And I was like, no, just for like a little bit. And obviously, 10 years later, we're still here.
Still running the game.
But yeah, it was Tumblr that like really, I think, probably introduced a lot of girls to camming. Like I can't imagine that it was really that popular anywhere else. And it was easier than it probably should have been. And I'd also
Yes.
told my parents and my brother and stuff because I didn't want them finding out for anyone else that I was doing that. But I would like cam till like 6 in the morning. I also started smoking a lot of weed during that time because I was just like alone in a long distance relationship. I'd cam really late and then go drive to McDonald's at like 6 in the morning, eat disgusting food. That was when I was like, oh, I'm gonna dip a brownie in ranch and see how that works because I was so fucking high. It was gross. But then I also just saw someone else on like a YouTube video, some celebrity was like, have you guys tried brownies and ranch? And I was like, I started this. Like this was
Okay, hold
this was
on.
my
Fucking
thing.
side quest story here. A friend of mine,
Yeah.
that was her pregnancy thing. Like she was
That
like
is so
dipping brownies
weird.
into ranch. Like brownies from Domino's.
so
We would
fucking
order
funny.
like pizza
Yeah.
and brownies and she'd be dipping that shit into ranch. What is wrong with all of you?
I don't know. It wasn't good. I didn't like it, but I was like,
Okay,
eating
well, she was
chicken
eating it up,
brownies,
so
and it was in the same bowl, and I was like, I'm gonna try this
never
out.
mind. This
I
is
did not
disgusting.
approve, but
No.
yeah, it was not a vibe. But
No.
I can understand it as a pregnancy craving. Like
Yeah.
that's not too far
Well, like
off.
clearly we were in the era of trying disgusting things if we decided to be cam girls and eat brownies with ranch on them, like in the same era.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty much the same like week-long stretch. But like eventually, like my ex was like, you know, you're not allowed to flash anyone if you're not being tipped. And I was like, I just want to do what I want, you know. And then I met my ex-girlfriend, and camming took off because of that. Like I got obviously a lot more popular, and I gained way more followers than I would have by myself. Like honestly, like it would have just taken me a lot longer to like get to a place where I was like people actually knew who I was. And I think that's like around the time where you found me. I mean, like you and Astra had already followed me on Tumblr, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we should talk about how we met.
Yeah. Well, I stalked you for a while.
Yeah, fair. Which
I
makes me feel really
definitely,
good. Like I'm just like, oh.
yeah. No, I knew who you were, and I wanted to, like, there was a big part of me that was like, I want to be like her, man. Like you saying like, "Oh, I want to be like Sabrina Nelly." Like I want the nice
Yeah.
apartment. I want her. I was like, I want to be nuts.
Yeah, that's basically where I was at. The drugs, the camming, and I guess ranch and brownies was just like sent it, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
had
you know
no choice
what?
but to like give in to it.
We kind of have to talk at this point, like because the root of you and I meeting, and it's connected to the root of us starting on Cam. Tumblr,
Yeah.
like the Tumblr girl was so romanticized, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
camming was part of it. Like, it was a trashy, hypersexual, I don't give a fuck, I do drugs, I post news on the
Mm-hmm.
internet. Like, there was this obsession with the grimy girl, and that was
Yeah.
literally your name, you know? Like,
Yeah. I
and
have it
so,
tatted on me for a reason.
yeah, yeah, you do. And at this
Yeah.
point, I was very I was in a weird spot because I was very split into two. When I found you, you know, I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell most of my friends. I was working a corporate
Mm-hmm.
job at the time,
Yeah.
and so I felt very half in, half out. And when I found you on Tumblr, to me it looked like you were all the way in, you know. And I was like,
Yeah.
this girl is, you know, it's like, oh, let your freak flag fly, except for it wasn't a freak flag, it was like severe mental illness.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I
Yeah.
found you and
There
I
was
just
a.
like, yeah, I thought you were really, really, really pretty and like cool looking. And, you know, I also really romanticized, maybe even to a degree, like fetishized the girl
Mhm.
girl couple thing too, right? Like
Yeah. Well, it
as
was
a bi
hot. I mean,
girl.
like at the
Yeah, it was very
time.
hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
is,
Like
but
me
like, you
and
know.
her were. Yeah. I mean, but we were like after. I think it was like Hosey and Nuggy, R.I.P. were like the couple that like they just had all these hot pictures of themselves and they were just like constantly doing things. I think that was also like something that like other people saw, but like seeing that like and then just like kind of diving into like whatever it was with my ex, like we just there was no other like path that made sense except for to just like do what we were already doing and then just like
Yep.
post it all online. And it took a really
Yeah.
long time for us to like actually be like, oh, we're together.
Yeah.
And we were like denying that for a really long time because
I remember
like
that.
I didn't yeah, I didn't like know if I actually like wanted, like I knew I was bi, but like the level of like how heavy it could get was, you know, it got really fucking heavy. Like we
Yeah.
were very toxic and codependent, and like it's not any foul to like either of us. Like we both needed each other in that way at the time, but like looking back on it, it's like holy shit, like a completely different person than who I am now. And
Yeah.
you know, like I think having that place like starting camming was very important because I wouldn't have like I mean I wouldn't have even met you like without any of it
No.
truly, you
No.
know.
No.
But like, yeah, I think you also like, as much as you were like, oh, I'm fetishizing and romanticizing like these girls, you were also like, are they okay? Like,
Yeah. Well, and that was, you know, that was a bigger piece and a big part of it was something I really miss about Tumblr and kind of about the internet is people
yeah,
like not, you know, there's it's not even oversharing. People were so transparent and like so free to be really cringy and really over the top. Like
yeah,
people didn't really give a
yeah,
fuck, right? And so because of that, I, you know, I read up everything you posted and I was following along really with your life. And it was like I developed like, you know, a really strong sense of like I really cared about you through the internet. Like I
yeah,
wanted to know what was
yeah,
going on. I also wanted to make sure by the end of it, like we're talking like months worth of distance. It wasn't like a long time, but like things got
yeah,
really scary really fast. And I was like, whoa, this
yeah, for
person
sure.
that I like thought was really cool kind of looks like they're having a really hard time. And so that
Yeah,
was, yeah, well, I mean, it was very obvious that things were really bad,
yeah, yeah,
you know, and that's when I think right around that time is when I drew that picture of you because I wanted you to
hmm
notice me really bad.
yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
sent you a
and I
bunch of
did.
snap. I tried your makeup one day. Remember when I copied your makeup and I sent you
Yeah.
Snapchats?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I
so
was like,
cute. It
look,
was
I
so
look
cute
like
to think about because
Kenzie.
it was
Like I was
literally
like,
like 10 years ago.
yeah,
Well, like 9 or 8, but still,
yeah,
like
no,
that's
but seriously, it was a
it's
long
crazy
time
to like
ago.
think about it.
And
Yeah,
me and
and then
Astra
she went
we
to
really wanted your
rehab.
attention. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and
She
you
went
guys
to
got it like
rehab.
a yeah,
She went to rehab,
and
and then I went to visit another individual, sort of an old friend of
I
both
know
of
it's
ours.
so crazy that like we weren't even like we were like obviously like we knew each other and like, but like for our relationship to like us to meet in that situation and like for you not to even stay with me or like not have like a full connection was really
Yeah,
weird because that was like the day after I dropped her off and
yeah.
I was like still like coming off of drugs and like yes she got to go to rehab but I was having to do all that by myself.
Say, I think it's fucking insane that, as the universe would have it, you picked me up from the airport because our mutual friend wasn't available like until a little while after my flight
Hmm.
landed, and I was with like you and another cam
Yeah.
girl, and you were like, hey, like welcome in, let's go to my place, and then also like right at this insane moment in time in your life, you know, and I was like, hi, I'm here now. Not here to see you, but like I'm here
Yeah.
now. Where this is
Yeah.
happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and both of us like simultaneously trying to impress the other person. Like, you definitely did a huge fucking dab for no reason, and I had no
Yeah,
idea until like 3 years later that you were like super fucked up,
yeah. So let me
which
bring the
is
listeners here into this moment. All right. Like I know Kenzie like
yes,
smoked weed, and I
yes,
smoked some weed. Like I'm fucking Canadian. It was legal here forever, right? So I was like, yeah, I smoke weed.
hmm
But like I would like smoke like a joint. You know what I mean? And I get to
yeah.
Kenzie's
Have like
house.
one puff.
Yeah, like not doing like the crack of weed. And Ken's was like, hey, do you want to dab? And I was like, I literally don't even know what that means, but like, I really want you to think I'm cool. So I don't do that for anyone. Like, I swear to God, I wasn't like that with anyone else. I just really wanted you to like me. So I was like, yeah,
That's so
sure.
funny.
When I tell you, I think I
Loads you up a
saw
giant fucking
space.
dab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that altered my brain chemistry. I was trying to eat a piece of pizza after that. I could feel my teeth. So
Yeah,
that went
that's
over
like my
well.
horrible edible story too, where I was like, I literally know that my teeth are bones and they're in my mouth and they are
That's
outside of my
exactly
body. Yeah. Yeah, just
that's
like horrifying. And
exactly
you're
it.
like trying to like be fine, like around other people, especially
Oh
because like me
yeah.
and the other cam girl, like we always smoked, like that was just like a consistent thing going on. Which probably wasn't very good that I was like,
No.
I'm gonna stop doing drugs, but I'll continue to do this drug. Like I don't
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Like
was great for my
really
brain, but
aggressively. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, needed some sort of vice. Vaping wasn't a thing at the time, so
No, no, it was
if
dabs.
only.
Let's go back
Yeah,
to yeah.
dabs
Welcome
and
to 2015. It was fucking dabs.
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, just a
Um.
dangerous combination. But like, I
It
mean, it
is.
started us off. Like, I remember being like sad that I wasn't able to like I wasn't really invited to like go hang out with you and the other two girls, and like
Yeah.
finding out you guys like went out. I was like, damn, like I know I'm like fucked up right now, but like an invite would have been
Yeah. Like at
nice.
least invite me.
Not
I
that I
know I'm
like
in
can move,
withdrawal,
but
but like,
like
come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of rude,
Yeah.
but whatever. No, but after that, I was like, like she was really cool, and like like I'm glad I can like put an actual like face to the name kind of thing. And
Yeah. I felt the same
I
way.
think after that, like I was struggling. I don't know if it was before or after Pancake went away.
Just before.
Um, yeah,
You
yeah, that
didn't
was the
have
dog.
Pancake anymore. Yeah, you didn't. There was a dog involved. He was really cute. Rest in peace.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Pancake was because Pancake would have been there if you had.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
Pancake was
no,
there when
that's
I
strange.
visited. Pancake was there when I
Okay, yeah, I
visited,
was gonna
and
say.
yeah, because I came to see you. I think it was like the end. Wait, I mean, you would remember the date, the month. It was either like May. I think it was like May.
It was literally the day after I dropped her off, and we dropped
Yeah.
her off before her birthday. So it
So it
was
was
like
in
the
May.
first week of May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we stayed in
Yeah.
contact. We started talking a lot more over the summer. We were messaging back and forth, and much more authentically. Like it wasn't really just like flexing or
Yeah.
like trying to, not like peacocking, trying to get each other to notice each other. We started to develop an actual friendship.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You
and then
like
I
saw
just
me in
remember,
person and was like, oh, she's
yeah.
struggle bussing.
I also really thought that you'd be taller. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Finding you in
Everyone
person
thinks
and
that,
realizing
even
you were
on
like
cam.
fucking pocket sized, I was like,
Yeah.
hi.
You're smaller than me, so
Yeah, for reference,
okay.
I'm only 5'4", dude. Like,
Yeah, it's a Napoleon complex, man. Like I swear to fucking God, like I
it
just like
is.
I think everyone thinks I'm like 5'8", and I think
Yeah.
like being around my ex-girlfriend, like I just assumed I was also that tall.
Yeah.
Like
No.
just made sense in my brain, but like yeah, now it's not it's not
Yeah.
like that. I'm like,
You're
yeah, I am
5'8"
very
coded. You're 5'8" coded.
yeah.
But like you're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you went to California and that didn't go well. And then I flew you out to Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to go visit her and it was a weird experience and
Yeah, it didn't go well.
I was like, okay, this is not the vibes. And yeah, she was kind of like, we were definitely like breaking up. Our codependency and toxicity was declining at a very fast rate, just not being around each other constantly and like her getting
Yeah, it
sober
had to
and stuff. And
happen.
like I was sober at that time too, in like from like hard drugs, which was really good, but
Yeah.
still very like little lost lamb status and just like
Yeah.
like struggling friendships, struggling to like hang out in like the Phoenix group settings where like everyone's getting fucked up constantly, and it's like it's hard to be a sober person when you're in that area. But
Yeah.
I was like I didn't drink, I didn't like I was just smoking.
Yeah.
um but then I also had like ended up like realizing that like the friendships I had were not very solid, and I was just kind of like holding on to like whatever I could, which was fair. Like like
Mhm.
I I was like literally getting out of a horrible relationship and stuff,
Yeah.
but I also started talking to another guy, and that was
Yeah.
a whole thing, and
Yeah. The motorcycle
like was
guy,
still
right?
kind of yeah, I was still like semi dating my ex girlfriend, and then also like talking to him, and he like I think he was doing drugs, and so like it was just too many
It was
bad
fucked.
decisions in a small amount of time. But then I think eventually you were like, "Can I fly you out?" I was
Yeah.
like, "Sure." Like
Yeah.
I got nothing going on, so like might as well. And
Yeah. Yeah,
then
no,
our friendship was
I
formed.
remember that. I remember that really clearly. I remember just like talking to you and I got a fucking vibe and I was like, "No,
Yeah,
I think that things are about to like change because I think that she needs to leave." And then I flew you
yeah,
out and it was like fucking magic. Like,
yeah. It
we just
was.
work so well in real life
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it just
it was an
was
easy friendship to get involved in. I felt like when I got to Vancouver, like I wasn't. I felt number one very safe, like just like being in a city. Like I still remember like getting out of the like terminal area and the
yeah.
airport and like seeing you in Vegas and just being like, these are my friends. Like I'm and
Yeah.
like it was just easy. Like there was no like trying. I wouldn't have to like impress. Like you guys knew I was already fucked up, and like I think you guys
Yeah.
just gave me your little NY jacket and was like, it's okay. Like
Yep.
we'll take care of you. And
Yeah.
that was that was it. There was no like questioning like, is
No.
this going to be like a lifetime friend? I was just like, yes, like
Yeah,
I'm
we're here.
here and
Yeah.
I feel good. And
Yeah.
I think we got fucked up, and I think that's the
Yeah.
same trip where I slammed the back of your knee with my hand and was like, this is mine.
Yeah. Yeah, you claimed my knee pit as your own
Yeah.
territory, and I defend it
Yeah. I
fiercely
think I also
against
peed in
my
your
husband.
alley.
No, I remember that though.
Yeah.
You did pee in my alley. You definitely peed in the alley.
Yeah.
Like circling it, like kind of like encapsulating it in the beginning to cam
Hmm.
thing. I was actually just talking about this with people because of the 10-year anniversary thing, and
Yeah.
getting into camming in 2013 was not the same as starting an OnlyFans in 2020. Like the
No.
environment that we were living in, Me Too only started in 2017. The way that people looked at
Yeah.
women in general was bad, and the way that people looked at sex
Yeah.
workers, like we didn't even use that term, right? Like things were,
No.
that was just, you were a slut, and slut was not a good thing. Like there was no reclaiming
No.
of
We
that
hadn't
whatsoever.
reclaimed that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it wasn't a small decision whatsoever. And I think in that, like, we just said correlation does not equal causation. Like being in the industry didn't make us the type of people to get super into drugs, get a have a really gnarly eating disorder, be actively bipolar without any understanding what was going on. Like, you know,
Yeah.
getting into the industry wasn't the reason why I couldn't hold a job. It wasn't the reason why I, you know, wasn't eating and all of this other stuff. It just allowed me to stay afloat, like to continue to live my life financially safely, at least enough to keep being crazy. You know what I mean? Like, later, you know, we had the space to heal, but I think people were like, oh, these cam girls are so trashy. And I'm like, we were insane before we started camming. Now we just have enough money to pay our rent and continue being nuts. And not having a boss to like show up to, you know, we didn't have to show up to work anywhere, which in a way created more space to get into some really bad stuff.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, like, but I think about like when I was first, like the first couple of years of me camming, like I still wasn't making it. I mean, like, we were giving so much of our money to drugs that like there was no like financial stability whatsoever. So I ended up like still working for my parents and still going back to working for like another office, selling like walk-in bathtubs for old people. And I remember the day that I quit. Yeah, I remember how I did a bunch of Xanax, went into the office and was like, I'm not gonna work here anymore. And I didn't. And somehow we still survived. But we were eating like rotisserie chickens. Yeah. And that was it. Like there was no like we were like there was like a day that like my ex spit on a rug or something, and I was like, did you just like spit on the ground? And that's when I was like, we're really gross. Like it's not even just like haha, like this is funny and like we're dirty girls kind of thing. We're like grimy girls. I was like, we're actually like
this is like actually disgusting.
And, like when we were moving out, we had like a rug, and I remember saying to her like, we can't throw this in the dumpster because there's a possibility that like a homeless person will take this out and they will cut themselves on the shards of glass that we've left on it. Like it's not even safe for anyone. So like that at that point I was like, like this is like we had knocked on a door of like what we thought was like a place where we could get, you know, like a Xanax prescription, and it was like an actual mental health facility, and they were like, no, like if you come in here like you're admitting yourself, and we were like, oh well, we don't want to do that. Like they were
back it up.
It was not the like main goal at the time, but I do remember calling my mom at some point and being like, you know, like because we were having seizures, like it wasn't like haha anymore. Like I was like, oh no, like I still have a scar on my finger from where she bit me, because I was like, is she choking to death? And it was just like, you know, consistent like downward spiral, and it wasn't fun anymore. And you know, there was no like place to grab onto and be like, we're fine. Like like camming wasn't happening the same way. Like, you know, we weren't getting like the same attention anymore, and like people just like were like, you guys are gross, and we weren't hot anymore. And I mean, we were hot to like, you know, outside people who like didn't actually know us. Like now both of us very different places. Like, you know, she's an actual forest fairy. Yeah. And like I, you know, like I have a very different life. Like I have solid friends, and like I, you know, am an active person in my own life. And I think that at the time was just like non-existent. Like there was no place to grab onto anything and like hope for the best, because we were like, well, it's fine. And honestly, it was the last sugar daddy that we had that like really put us into like a place of being like, like
maybe this isn't
we really should, like this is it's time to like figure it out. And like right after that, that's basically like close to when I had flown out, and or when you had come out here, I mean, and it was just done. Like there was no more. And like camming eventually became a thing again when I like realized that I missed it, but like that period of time, like we weren't doing it for financial reasons. It was just attention, because we were doing drugs while on cam, and like people knew, you know, like it wasn't like we were getting messages on Tumblr constantly from people being like, you guys are fucked up. Or like,
well, you know what's so interesting? Like, I kind of need to like jump in a little bit, like,
Yeah.
I think the line was very thin, and it wasn't just for people that, I don't think it was just like morbid curiosity through Tumblr or whatever. I think that same thing
Yeah.
expanded onto MFC, and you can kind of see it even in the requests that people would make. That if
Yeah.
you were selling shots, they'd tip for 30. Like
Yeah.
there was this interesting fascination with like these trashy, crazy girls. People liked the
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah. Girls
manic
passing
pixie
out on cam
girl.
and
But
yeah.
then there was, like I said, there was such a fine line. It was like people wanted to see you wrecked and save you kind of at the same time. But if you went
Oh yeah,
too
100%.
far in either direction, the support started to go away. Like you
Yeah.
had to walk this tightrope
Yeah.
that no one could stay on, right? And it wasn't just you and your ex, it was
Yeah.
so many other people that were, so
Oh
many other
yeah.
cam girls
No,
that were in the
100%.
same spot that,
Yeah.
I think even the supporters, they wanted a certain amount of insane. Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah. I mean,
just,
it
it
makes
was a,
sense. Like having that
yeah,
like white knight, but also like don't go too far because then like you're embarrassing and like it's not worth my money kind of thing. Like
exactly. Yep.
we had like a consistent guy who would do Skype calls with us, but we were doing drugs while on Skype with him. I think we
Yeah.
took Ambien, and like we were just so fucked up that
Just
like he
destroyed.
wasn't even enjoying it anymore. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't fun to like watch these girls like just like absolutely out of their minds, and like we
Yeah.
weren't doing it on purpose. It's just what we knew at the time, and like
Yeah.
that was where our comfort states were at. And it was like, well, like
Yeah.
we're already here, so might as well keep going. But I think once I was like alone in my own space, having to pay for her and my stuff, and like trying to get support from her family, and like she's also going through a bunch of other things. Like I'm not here to talk about her life, but
Yeah.
like we were both struggling, and like I think that like that just like put into play that it was not a game anymore. There was no attention left over. There was no money left over. Like
No.
it was like either get your shit together or die.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was no other out, and I think that's like, and that's why I'm always like, yep, like Ashley, you saved me because like you did. Like I don't think I would have gotten out, at least not like in the same
Not in
way,
the same
if like I
way.
didn't have that like
Yeah.
escape to go to Vancouver and be like, oh,
Yeah.
there's life outside of like my like little drug den. Yeah,
Yeah. I offered you a road that was a possibility, like
yeah,
it was
yeah,
a path that probably wouldn't have been there if I wasn't around, but it was just a path. Like you could have chosen not to have gone in that direction. You still had to walk all the way down the block with the dog, which you barely managed
yeah.
because you threw up 3 times in the course of like 2 block walk because you just couldn't move at all. But it was a path that you kept
That's
walking.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just kind of kept
and yeah, it
going.
was worth it. I mean, like you think about how long ago that was, and like that, like our friendship doesn't feel like it's been as long as it has, but like it really has. Like it's almost been 9 years of like, or eight
Mm-hmm.
years of us knowing each other, and then like
Mm-hmm.
6 solid years of like real friendship. And
Yeah.
even when I came out there the first time, like we were still, like we were obviously becoming friends, but there was still like I still had to deal with a lot of things at home, and I couldn't fully
Yeah.
escape reality, which sucked, but like
Yeah.
was like that was just how it was. But I think once I got over that hump, I was like, no, I actually like really want to be in their lives. And I think seeing you and Astra's friendship
Mm-hmm.
like made me realize that like I didn't have to be friends with shitty people. And like getting beat up by like a friend that happened was just be like, oh, like like this is not good friendships. Like
Mm-mm.
I didn't know what that was before. I was always like searching for
Yeah.
like more, and like someone that just like equal friendship. And
Mm-hmm.
like I realized that like I really had that with you guys, even though it was like a short time of
No, we
meeting and
clicked,
stuff. And
we
I just,
clicked.
yeah, like I didn't want to let it go, and
No.
I didn't.
I think it's so funny. If you think about it, sometimes I like to think about things from like a member's perspective, Like
Hmm.
you showing up, like the combination of our, I guess what in 2023 one might call a brand. We didn't really look at things like that at the time. We were just crashing around in
Yeah,
circles. But to have
yeah,
you and everything that was you show up with me, people were like,
hmm,
what? Like these are two totally
yeah. No, it
different.
was very random.
I think you had a degree of
Yeah,
notoriety, and I had like I just had created an interesting niche for myself. And the combination of our two things happening at the same
It's
time
very
is
bright, like different
fucking
ends of the cam
hilarious.
spectrum. Our canon styles were so different, like when we first, started hanging out, and like I was obviously like much more aggressive, but that's because at the time when I was first starting to cam, I had to be like
Yeah.
people were coming in and saying awful shit, and there was no like you either had to have that backbone and be like, no, fuck off, I'm gonna block you, and like I hope you eat shit, like was the only option, and you were just the
Yeah.
sweetest fucking bean.
I kind of our paths into camming and like how things went. Like I think both of us ended up having a moment where we were like, this is it. Like this has to be
Yeah.
it, And we did things so differently, but in some ways still kind of ended up in the same soup. Like I said,
Yeah.
like when I started camming, and actually for the entirety of the 7.5, almost 8 years that I cammed, I was strictly non-nude. I never got naked on the internet. I did topless
Yeah.
like twice when I was brand new because I thought that I wouldn't make money otherwise, and I just didn't want to do like,
Yeah.
there was one or two other girls at that time that were also not nude performers. They were non-nude, and I was like, all right. And Joey Kim won #1 in the August of 2013, and at that point I'd started in May, and like June and July I was really questioned. People would just members were telling me you're never going to make any money if you don't strip. Like I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
And when I saw Joey Kim make #1, I was like, I can do it, right? Like she did it. She got number fucking one without
100%.
taking, like I can do it. I can do things the way that I want to. And there was no like judgment. Like I wasn't like, I don't want to get naked because that's gross. I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of kept going. And so I had this very like strange, wholesome environment that people were like, this girl's doing it weird, but it was so community based and so conversation based that they were like, oh, actually this is pretty fun,
Yeah. Yeah, well, you paved the way for so many people in that way, and like now that
Yeah.
you're doing Twitch and stuff, like it only makes sense that like
Yeah.
it survived because of who you are, and like
Yeah.
it didn't matter if you were naked or not. Like
No.
people came to like be with you, and
Yes.
there, like I think people forget that there's like tons of people out there that like don't actually care to see a girl naked. Like
No.
like it's not
Just
the
wanna hang
main
out.
thing for a lot of people, and yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
like you still have tons of people that like want to be there just because you were there, and that's so wholesome
Yeah.
and so cute. So
But you know what?
pat on
At
the
the
back
same
for you,
time,
because
at the same fucking time, like it would have been, this happened a year before I think you and I met, but I believe like it didn't matter whether I was clothed or not, on the internet. Like I could still be a cam girl even if I was not nude. Like I could be a tease and I'd still be accepted. However, I was 23 years old and I was naive because a big part of me was like, oh, if I'm not naked and my corporate law office job finds out that I can, then I'll be safe. Like if I was naked, then that would be bad. But like if I'm not naked, like they're not going to judge me. That was still me buying into the idea of the hierarchy, right? Like I still to some degree thought that I would be treated differently if I just did things the way that I thought everybody else would, and that slammed down on me a year later, right? Like not even a year.
Yeah.
It was almost a full year of camming before I got fired because they found out that I was a cam girl.
Yeah, that
and
was
for
for a law
me-
office, right?
Yeah, I was working at a law office, and they weren't paying me enough, and they also sent me to, they were like, you need to do school to get a promotion, but they were also like, you pay for your tuition, and then we'll pay you back when you get the certificate 2 years later. Couldn't pay my fucking rent. I was also
Yeah,
an
that's
unmedicated bipolar person. I kept spending all my money, like, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
So when I can just remember so clearly, like my like rock bottom, which like is whatever,
Yeah.
but I was like standing in an alley behind the law office with a box of my stuff because they walk you out in the middle of the workday. You get walked out. You get
Aw,
escorted.
that's
They
horrible.
watch you pack your shit, and everybody in the office is silent because they know what's going on, and nobody knows why. Like it's so awful. They watch you pack your stuff.
That's so fucked
they
up.
put you in the elevator and they watch you walk out the door. It's so humiliating.
Yeah, of course.
And I
Especially when you're
just,
that young. I mean, like, it'd be humiliating at any age, but, like,
I was
that's, you're
24,
just a
23,
child.
24.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I remember standing in the alley, just bawling my eyes out, calling my dad. And I was like, you need to come pick me up. Just like
Yeah.
standing there waiting. But I also, at that point, I was like, all right, now this is really it. Like, not only do
Mm-hmm.
I not, like, I really felt at that point that I was like, I have to cam. Like,
Yeah.
like things have shifted, you know. I thought that this was a fun
Yeah.
little thing, you know. I took it seriously, but I was like, this is something I could do while I do other things. And that was the first
Mm-hmm.
kick in the teeth of like, no, if you do this, that's all you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah,
really
it's not
tough pill to
accepted.
swallow. That was, you
Yeah,
know,
of course.
a tough pill to swallow. I was naive, and then got
Yeah.
backhanded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's a learning
yeah,
curve. Like, there's no, like, right way to do it. And, like, that's why, like, when anyone's, like, asking for advice on how to cam now, it's like, everyone's experience is going to be so different, and like you just don't know. Like that's like my biggest advice is always like, don't try and hide anything because someone's going to find out, which is why I
someone's
told
gonna
my
find out.
parents and my family
Yep.
like right away, because I was like, it's not worth it. And like someone
No.
still tried to send my mom a video of me and my ex-girlfriend and was like, did you know your daughter's doing this? My mom was like, what the fuck? And like that
Yeah.
was, you know, obviously like that's not ever what I wanted to
No.
happen, but like it was the reality of it, and still today is like, no, you
It
can't have an
is. Yeah.
OnlyFans and stuff without the possibility, especially if you're gonna get popular. Like someone's gonna see it, and someone's
Yeah.
gonna try and fuck you over for it, and
Yeah.
it could be your job or your friend or whoever. And yeah, it's just you have to have that backbone, and unfortunately, you gotta grow the backbone sometimes by like being really, you know, like fucked up by the situation, and
Yeah.
it sucks, and
Yeah.
it's not it's not an easy thing, but I think like that just shows your like how strong you are, because you were like, okay, well, like that's it for this, like I have
Oh,
to keep
yeehaw.
going,
Here we
and like I
go.
already, yeah, like might as well. And like look at you
Yeah.
now. Who'd have thought?
Dude, look at us. Who'd have thought? Who thought?
I know.
Who'd have thought? Well, and I mean, I think that's the
um
thing about being in the industry for a long time is,
mhm.
you know, we have to remember that we grew really thick skin and really strong backbone because of,
Yeah.
you know, an industry that is tough to be in. And
Yeah.
we've learned to be like fucking resilient, because people will say, with, you know, on one hand, they'll say like, you shouldn't do this. And then if you try to do something else, they're like, you're not allowed to do this because you do this. Like, you're just kind of there,
Yeah.
and you have to learn how
Yeah.
to like keep running with it. And we're still running
Yeah.
with it. What the shit?
It's kind of crazy, honestly, like just to even
No,
think
it's actually
back
insane.
about like everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially like I deleted my old Tumblr because I was just like, I don't think this is like good for my brain
No.
to like still have any sort of like, I mean, like I still get asked in like my DMs on Instagram like, do you still talk to your ex-girlfriend? And I'm like, dude, like
Please stop.
yeah, like,
I
this is not
survived that
important
time,
anymore.
okay? Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but like now it's, you know, it's just it's so far from what I am now. Like, I mean, even going back to talking about like how our camming styles were different and stuff, but like how aggressive I was on cam, I will get people that come into my room now and be like, you know, you're so much nicer. And I'm like, well, yeah, like situations are very different, and like I don't have to be as aggressive as I was, and
Mm,
you know, like also seeing how you were and stuff, and like I would get mad at someone on cam and like could feel the vibes change, but like I didn't care at the time. It wasn't like, oh, like I'm affecting someone else's cam stream. Like I was just like, well, that's just how I have to fucking do things. Like,
yeah.
you know, like that's how who I am. And now I'm like, well, that's not who I want to be, and like that's
Yeah.
not what's important to me. I don't need to like stand up for myself quite as hard.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the backbone, and that's also like letting go of the backbone and being like, I don't really need to be angry. And
Mm-hmm.
we, like I had told you a few, like, you know, 2019, after staying at a mutual friend of ours house, that like she had had another girl there and seeing the way that she talked on camera and stuff, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like, is that what I sounded like? And like,
Yeah.
fuck, like, I do not want, that's not the vibes I want to give off at all. Like,
No.
it's not who I am. And like, it made me like disgusted. Like, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I like literally told you, I was like, that is so uncomfortable to me. And you were like, oh, she really
Mm-hmm.
did a number on you. I'm like, yes, like, she
Mm-hmm.
really did. And like, no hate to them. It was just like, that's not how I wanted to portray
Don't
myself.
you love it when you see something? I feel like this carries over into like modern day, like so hard. Don't you love it when you see something that you're like, I hate that. I think that's bad. That's like so terrible.
Yeah.
And then like you make like like hundreds of thousands of dollars less money because of your like lovely sense of like I don't feel like doing like I love that. I
Yeah,
love
my
watching. I
moral
love like
compass.
yeah, I love just like watching the bag like float away from me. You know, like
Yeah.
well, I mean, I could own like
Yeah.
several condos, but I guess like I don't feel like doing
Yeah, I
that.
guess I'll just like
Just so
I'll be
painful.
nice, I guess. Yeah.
Guess I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
because it's still like a
myself. This
path, but
sucks. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, well, does anyone like me? Like, it's yeah, it's a hard
Oh
like I said, it's a
man.
hard pill to swallow, but like worth it
Yeah.
just because like you let go of so much like expectation and like weird past feelings of like who you thought you were and stuff and like even just like thinking attention wise and stuff like obviously like I
Mm.
was commanding attention in a very different way and now I'm
Yeah.
like well I don't even know what I'm doing anymore like I think like having an episode eventually just like talking about like the industry in general and like how hard it is to stay in order to like change with it and to
Mm.
readjust and I mean how many times have we like revamped our entire fucking
Oh my
styles
god, I'm
of
doing that right
camming
now. I'm doing
and
that literally right
yeah
now.
like it's
Again.
it's the only way to survive in the industry though like you have to
Yeah.
change with it because if you
Constantly
don't like
adapt.
you're yeah and that's a good
Yeah.
thing and a bad thing it's all in one and yeah it's just like it's crazy to like be in a 10-year situation and be like damn like I've been like 8 different people.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's just weird having the growth that you experience throughout your 20s like captured live on camera and then kept on the internet forever.
Yeah, yeah. When they say things are on the internet forever, guys,
No,
they
they
really
mean
mean
it.
it.
But yeah,
Like,
and it's not just that
it's
other
there.
people will have to see it, it's that you have to continue to see it. I have
Yeah,
a
we'll be
question.
constantly
I have a
reminded.
question for you. I have a
Yes.
question. What did you buy with your first MFC paycheck? Do you remember?
Um, I actually bought stuff for camming. Like I went and
Oh,
bought like a really
wow.
nice light setup.
So you like reinvested
Um
into your business? That's really smart.
yeah. Well, I don't think it was though because I didn't actually have the money to like I was like, oh, now I have like $4,000 and I can go buy things, but I had no like sense of saving money. So like it didn't help to like I should have just like bought a new pair of shoes and then saved the rest, but I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna buy new clothes and get my hair done, like make myself into this like new person and stuff.
Yeah.
And there are still like little gifts of like me with red hair and
Yeah.
like
Girl, you and me
being that
both.
person. Yeah, and it's just like yeah, that was not a smart decision, but like at the time I had no idea that like I either would not be making that much consistently. Like I thought, oh, I've made $4,000 this month, like I will make it again next month if not
Yeah, oh,
more. And
yeah.
it just was not. That was
No.
not the vibes.
No.
So I went and like I think I got a new laptop and did like all the tech stuff and still cammed on my dirty ass floor and had
Yep.
my like box fan sitting in the background.
Yeah. Yep.
What did you buy?
A dining room table. Okay, when I got that first check,
That's
when I
very
got that first
wholesome.
check, dude, you don't understand. I want to know how you felt about this too, because maybe we like felt similarly, or maybe I'm just like a really suspicious person. But like, I didn't think that it was real. Like, I saw how much money I made, and for anybody listening, MFC pays out, or they paid out twice a month at the time. If you made more than
Yeah.
$100, I think they would pay out. And because I'm Canadian, they only sent by check. At that point, there was no like
Oh,
wire transfer.
yeah, I
You
forgot
had to get
about
the
that.
check. And so I could see the amount like in American that was racking up. And I think you're right. I made like like $2,500 US that first 2 week time period. Like it was wild. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is a sham. This is absolutely not real.
Yeah.
And when I got the check in the mail, I I like went outside to check the mail. I had shit to do that day. I opened the check outside, locked my front door, and immediately went to the bank because I was like, there's no way. And the bank just processed the check. And I was like, this isn't real. And so when the money finally hit my account, because they like held it for a certain period of time, like make sure, I was like, there's no way it's going through. It went through that very same day. I was like, I need to go to IKEA. I really want a dining room table. So I went to IKEA. Cute. And it's the same damn table that's downstairs. I have like a severe emotional attachment to this fucking table. Yeah, that's the first thing I bought with my cam money was a dining room table. Yeah.
No, I do remember thinking the men are going to take their money back.
Yeah.
It was like they're going, like, I'm going to get in trouble. And like that's why even when I told my dad, he was like, you know, I've been arrested before, like just like be careful, you know, because he was like so like I think he just thought that I was like, you know, literally fucking a man through a screen or something, like doing something super illegal, and that got in my head that like maybe I am doing something illegal, and like I had no idea about taxes at the time or like anything like that, so I just was like like this is intense, and I guess I just like have this money, but like it was not, there was no like,
it was so
yes,
weird.
This is real and I've done it. Definitely a lot of doubt.
So weird.
And that's so cute.
And then when it just kind of like
table, though. I love that.
No, I know, I love it. That's like my favorite. It's my baby. It's a 10-year-old dining room table. It's pretty fucked up too. It's so scratched, and like one of the legs has water damage. Like, a lot of things have happened around that table.
But so many memories. I was gonna say, like, there's so many memories. Cause, like, even with just like even that I think about, and I can't even imagine like you know you and your partner being like, nope, this is where we like eat constantly, and like it's just, it's so cute.
Okay, what if you have to think of like if you have to think of MFC 2014 in one physical object, what would that object be?
Oh fuck,
there's so many, right? Like, which one are you gonna pick?
I'm trying to think, like, what's yours? Do you have one? Because I have to think about mine.
Yeah, it's the LED tree.
Oh my god. Do you mean that thing that I have in the corner of my room right now?
Yes, it's that thing that you have in your room. I never got one. I bought a table. I didn't buy one of those, and I wanted one so bad.
I've literally had like 8 of them, and I had that giant one. Do you remember the big giant one that I had? It was
huge
so pretty,
one.
And then my movers broke the plug, so I ended up just donating it to Goodwill. I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, I'm sad I don't have that tree anymore, but I was like, where the fuck would I put it? Because it was ginormous. Like it was so large.
To anyone listening,
but that was
they
also
were these like
thing too.
Yeah, it was. They were. I don't know if anybody here is like not a fucking cam girl and is like, what do you mean LED tree? It was like an indoor plug it in, like bare branches thing. Like it was like a bunch of branches with like lights on the. There we go. There she is in all her glory. That to me, that and like the pink XOXO paddle. No, like definitely the paddles, and like even just like some of the lingerie that like everyone had, like it was like, you know, Amazon was like the place to fucking find everything, and it was just, you know, easy to like fill your cart up with the most random stuff. I have to pause you there for a second, because in Canada, Amazon exclusively sold books until 2015. All right, Amazon was still a bookstore. I couldn't order jack shit. People were like, make an Amazon wish list, and I was like, would you like to buy me a book? Because that's all they had on Amazon. I'm not joking. Insane. I have been a cam girl for so long that Amazon was a fucking bookstore when I started.
That is so funny. That is hilarious, because like I was just gonna say that like whoever owned like the companies that like had the, you know, sex toys and paddles and like all those things, we made a killing in those years, because there were so many cam girls that like I remember like seeing pictures of like popular cam girls wearing a certain lingerie set, and then I would screenshot it and put it into reverse image just to find that set. Like, I didn't research, and I always found them too. Like they were just, that was the only way to do it, because you weren't gonna like go out of your way to like ask a girl. Like we were gatekeeping so hard. And that's just how it was.
What were like, I can't like envision what's the set you're thinking of? Like, what does it look like?
It was this like white and pink, like very like girly. It had like a little skirt. I'm sure I could find a picture of it somewhere, but I ended up letting someone borrow it, and it was like one of my biggest regrets because it was one of my favorite
Oh.
ones. But even like they were just like lace tops that were
Yeah.
like it wasn't like a full set. It was just like those like bralette style ones that like had the hooks and everything, and like those were
Yes.
really popular.
Yeah.
Or even just like I'm trying to think of like all the ones that Brina wore, honestly, because
Yep.
like she had the best, yeah, she had the best sets, to be
Fits.
honest. There was
Yep.
like ones with like red bows on them, and they were all like
That's the
black,
one
very
I'm thinking
strappy
about.
at the time, things that like made you like if you were not stick thin, like you would have
Looked
they gave
horrid.
you love handles.
Yeah. Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
was like, I wasn't skinny when I first started camming, and then I was smoking weed and eating horribly, and like all of that just like made me gain so much extra weight. And the only reason I lost it was because of drugs. Like people still will be like, "What's your workout routine?" I'm like, guys, I did
I
so many
was
drugs. I
on
was not
drugs, dude.
eating.
That's
Yeah,
why
like
that yeah.
it wasn't a good. I wasn't like in the
No.
gym working out constantly, eating healthy.
No.
Like I just wasn't.
No. And
But
like that
yeah,
that shit
like
for me, man, like I was on Tumblr because I had an eating disorder. And why the fuck
yeah,
else did people use Tumblr? I don't even know. That's why I used
yeah.
Tumblr, right? And then I found sex work after that.
No,
I found camming
Brianna was
after that.
real.
Yeah, and like I didn't get
Yeah.
nude. It was just a way for me to spend several hours a day body checking. Like that's what I was
Yeah.
doing. I was making money for like
Yeah.
engaging with my eating disorder essentially. And it
Yeah.
was a very
100%.
good
Yeah.
excuse to continue to maintain a really low body weight. And what I fucking love, and I have to like yeet us from like 2014 to 2023, is seeing
Yes.
women that were like girls at the time, you know, we were like 20, 19,
Mm-hmm.
20, 21, whatever, like seeing ones that were just as like some of us were just emaciated, you know, and seeing us
Mm-hmm.
now
Yeah.
like fleshed out and thriving in these like bodies that eat and
Mm-hmm.
like like oh, just that if I see
No,
a
I
cam
totally
girl get a
agree.
little thick, oh, it just warms my heart. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, girl, you know, fuck yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, even think about how like the body standards have changed so much. Like you can
Yeah.
definitely see like the bro Anna kind of shit coming back right now, like
Oh,
that
big
like
time. It's
drugged
really
out
good for my
skinny girl
brain.
look. But like, yeah, yeah. And I was just gonna say that it's like it's a lot easier to like look back and think about that because we were so much in the thick of it and like knew like what that really was. And now like you see it on TikTok and there's so many celebrities that are like getting their stuff removed and like
Uh,
it's 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 crazy to see cam girls thriving in that way and like you
yeah.
don't have tons of like emaciated girls on
No.
cam and um
No, it's
yeah,
like
and
we've
like
been
no
there,
one's
done
really
that.
getting like that blackout drunk anymore. Like there were girls passing out on cam. Like it was
Oh,
just like
yeah.
it was funny, you know what I mean?
Dude,
And like
I threw up, thank God, off cam. But there was one night that I
mhm.
threw up and everyone heard me vomiting in the other room because I drank so
Oh
much.
no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
I
doing
also
Jaeger
destroyed.
shots. I mean, not Jaeger, gin shots on cam, and like
Oh,
the amount of times that I would like act like I was just like doing something on my laptop, and then I would just log out because I was so drunk, or like waking up and being like, "Oh no, did I log out?" Like you
did
have
I
so
log out?
it's just horrible,
That's what I
horrible
say. Like, and
thoughts
I
to
mean, I
wake up
can't
to.
generalize too hard, but like the OnlyFans girlies, like the new wave of like girlies, like we
Hmm.
vomited and passed out so that they could
Yeah,
run. Like, it's not that we walk
no,
so
a
they could
hundred
run.
percent.
We
No,
died.
yeah, yeah,
we are Jesus.
yeah, yeah. We died for their sins,
We yeah.
and now they get to thrive because of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, but like
this is
shit was
true.
raunchy, man. Also, this is another good
No, it
question.
was.
Um, Logitech abuse. Have you ever
Hmm.
have you ever brutally abused a Logitech webcam? And if so, what happened to it? We were talking about this on Twitch yesterday.
Um, I have released all of my webcams from my belongings. I did that in 2019 before I like went to Vancouver for 6 months. I had like probably eight of them, and they were either covered glitter alcohol, like, and they were old ones too, like the ones that like were like super fucking small and like
Yeah.
literally were just as bad as like my Mac
Yeah.
webcam
Yeah.
is
Oh
now.
yeah.
But yeah, they were just like coated in like glitter glue, and yeah, I was like, I'm giving these to people, and like hopefully someone else can use them. But I had to like get them out of my sight because it was
Yeah.
like it was a trigger at the
It's just
time
so
to be
sad.
like, why do I? Yeah, no, yeah, they were, and
Glitter
like thrown
took one of
across the
mine.
room,
Oh
stepped
yeah.
on,
Into the
like they
bath.
they I just yeah, no, oh my God, yeah. The amount of times that I dropped them, and they still worked after for some reason. Like I'm sure you could not hear through it, but like you could still see me, and that was good enough. Like I,
Yep.
especially if you just like couldn't afford to go buy a new one, like you're just
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, like this is what I'm stuck with. Like it's
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no, the
glitter
yeah the
oil. A
abuse. Yeah.
glitter oil killed one
Hmm.
of mine. I decided to
Yeah.
move it a lot. I was changing my angles while covered in glitter oil as well. Can we talk about lessons we've fucking learned as lifer cam
Yeah.
girls? We have now, what are we both well
No.
aware that glitter oil is a Satan. Terrible idea.
No, 100%. Like
Terrible.
whenever I see those videos of people doing the like glitter fall things on TikTok now, like it's super pretty, but like I'm traumatized because I think about how hard it is to get glitter out of everything. Like I'm sure that I still have things from my past that I did not get rid of that still is coated in glitter, and like
Yeah.
it's just that's just how it is now. Like I didn't buy it like
Also,
that,
like,
but it is
no
just
concept
glitter.
of like body safe glitter. We just went to the fucking dollar
Hmm.
store or a Hobby Lobby or whatever,
Yep.
dumped a bunch of
Yep.
craft glitter into a baby oil bottle, and then like poured it
Hmm.
into our genitals.
Yep. Yeah. Was yeah.
You know
Just
how
hope for
hard
the
it is to get
best. No
glitter
worries
like
about
out of your
any yeast
ass?
infections.
Yeah.
Yes. I. You know what?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even like the toys and stuff, like anything that we were using, like it was they were just like coated in it, and
Yep.
we were like, yeah, like oh well, like no
Wait.
big deal,
Oh
like
my god.
whatever, it's
Okay, well,
fine.
good thing that it's empty. Just knocked over a water bottle.
I think you should
It's a
leave
good
that
thing I
in.
didn't knock it onto my fucking giant ass camera. R.I.P.
For real. Um, but yeah, the non-safe, like toxic use of random tools, we will say, was
Yeah.
yeah, probably not the best.
I gotta say
Yeah, it was
also
a real thing.
it's like every November some like OG cam performer will put out a PSA to any new performers being like, PSA, happy holidays, don't put a candy cane in your pussy. Don't do that.
That's not good
Early
for
on, I think it
you.
was actually in my first year, I watched an individual make an entire ice cream sundae on her puss. All of the ingredients that went into an
Oh,
ice cream sundae: chocolate,
no.
caramel, ice cream, syrup, and a
No.
cherry. Whipped cream also, just the whole thing. And I remember at the
Oh.
time, because I had no idea how to take care of my own body, I was like, wow, that's really hot. What a great idea. Thank God. I mean, like I wasn't a nude performer anyway. But like years later, I'm like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
that
That's
was a
really
really
bad for
bad idea.
you. Yeah, but people ate it up figuratively and literally. Like they
Yeah.
loved it. Like it was the messier that you got, the better it was. And you know, like if
Yeah.
your entire floor wasn't covered in something gross by the end of it, and
Did you even
you
cam?
were not like, yeah, like exactly. Like if your if your phone is like unable to be touched because you have so much glitter oil on your hands, like are you even a cam girl? No.
Anyone who's like, oh, camming's an easy job, camming's an easy way out. Have you tried cleaning up after a cam show? Come to my house. You know what? I'll go back in time to like
Yeah.
2016. I will have a cam show,
Yep.
and then you can clean up the absolute destruction that lay at my feet. What is it with streaming and your environment just becoming like a bomb went off?
I don't know. I don't know. It really does like just it just takes on and you don't have any control over it and you just
No.
are left with it and the tokens that you made at the end of the night and you don't want to clean it up either. So like you leave it to the next morning and then everything's
And
like
then you're like,
sticky and like plastered and
there's just like
and it's a
shot
horrible
glasses,
experience.
cups, and so much stuff. I think what people don't understand, an interesting, like, this is a taboo peek into the webcamming industry.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of conversations happen, and those conversations spark like ideas, and I'll be like, oh no, yeah, I totally have like a can opener that looks like the can opener we're talking about right now. So now there's a can opener in my room because it came up in conversation for some reason. Like, it's not like it's just like sex toys and alcohol and like whatever. It's like the most random shit, you know, and then it's
no,
everywhere.
I would show off my knife collection. Yeah. I would bring out my box of knives, and then there would just be like
knives
10 knives
everywhere.
On the ground, and yeah. That was just like that was the thing. That, you know what? That's my answer. What, you know, like you said, the LED light. I'll say knives, because that was just like, I still have my little box next to me, and it's just full of knives, and I don't know what to do with them. They're just there, and I love them, but that is my answer, because they were just like a consistent, like that was just a hot girl thing. We just like had knives.
Yeah. I thought you guys were
so
hot. That the knife thing, I was like, they are cool and edgy.
Yeah, pictures of us like with like Xanax on our stuffed animals, and then like a little switchblade next to it was the vibe. Like that was just really cool. Like yeah. And I still now I still think it's hot. Like I'm just like, yeah, that was a whole vibe. That like,
I'm really glad we lived, but it was a time.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And so like, not wholesome's not the right word, but just like it was wholesome for the time that it was at, because like we were like you said, like we died so they could run, like we had to experience all the weird things, and just kind of go with it and find our own path until now here we are.
Until now here we are.
That's just the camming. That's the liability. You don't sign an actual contract, but you sign a mental one of being like, yes, I will take on all of this stuff and hope for the best, and then you just end up 10 years later being like, what was that? That was crazy. I'm a crazy girl.
That's fucked up.
Fucked up.
Oh my god. Yeah. I've been really nostalgic over the last 24 hours. That's for sure.
Well, I don't blame you. I mean, like, and 10 years is a really long time, and especially to be in one job. Like, I feel like a lot of people, especially in their 20s, like, you're kind of bopping around and trying to figure out, like my brother's in that position right now. He's, like, so tired of, like, having to like consistently get new jobs. I'm like, isn't that just kind of like what people in their 20s do, though? And then I'm, like, thinking back, and I'm like, I didn't. Like, I really, we just stuck with work. And, like, there was very many, like, different avenues to it. Like, you know, even with OnlyFans being a thing, and, like, thanking the Lord that it came out in 2020.
Oh, thank God. Like, we're going to have to do an entire episode on that. Yeah.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. Because it's definitely, like, a whole other hour-long conversation. About how much it saved so many people. And, yeah, but I just, like, our 20s were just filled with cam, and, like, I'm very thankful for it, because I you know, people ask, like, what's your, which I will ask you now, like, what is your, like, best memory, or, like, what's your most favorite thing that has come from camming, besides, like, friendships, because that's, like, a very obvious one. Like, obviously we wouldn't have stayed as long in this industry, and you wouldn't have started Twitch streaming and, like, done all this stuff if, like, the people that have followed you weren't there. Because we both know how hard it is to, like, make new people that, like, want to actually be a regular. But, like, what's your favorite thing that's come out of the industry that you can, like, say, like, this was worth it, basically?
This was worth it. Oh man, it's so hard to say. There's so many moments. Like, that's why I know I did the right thing, and why I'm, like, glad to still be in the industry, is because, like if I were to just rapid fire off, like, what's on my mind, like, looking over this balcony in Thailand, and we were in a beautiful apartment that I'd rented, and I flew my mom and my sister out, and, like, I got to, like, share this, like, crazy moment with my family, like, that was, like, 2016. Like, I got to do that early, which was wild.
I was gonna say traveling, like, too, is definitely a big one.
When we were in Vegas for AVN, and we were shooting that little mini video, like, jumping on the bed and, like, getting glitter, and, like that was pretty peak. Like, I was like, that was like a, like, fuck yeah, like, we're cool. Like, that felt good.
I know.
Um,
Stephanie asked us to be in a music video, and I was like, that was the same year that Lil Wayne was there.
yeah,
And I was like,
yeah,
yes, we will 100% do that. I thought that
yep.
Lil Wayne was going to be there,
I know
which
we
was
we
basically
got
why I
Lil
said
Wayne. If
yes
you're
to it.
listening to this, we really wanted to like be your friend. Okay, well, I really wanted to be his
Do you
friend.
remember he said hi to me though? Like
Yeah, I
Emily
did.
Tokes lifted me up, and he was like mid sentence, and then stopped and was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh
Hi.
my god, guys, I'm
You're like,
pregnant!" Like right
oh.
now, I'm like,
I'm gonna ask you the same question in one sec, but I think if I were to
yes,
sum it all up, the best thing that's happened to me from camming, I realized this. I became aware of this about 8 months ago, and it was that the Cam Girl Survival Guide is the third search result for when you Google how to be a cam girl. The advice that I've written and shared with
yeah,
other people is the third result, which means that like
oh
so many people have been able to learn at least
yeah,
something, and that shit like
yeah.
that will stay with me until I die. Like that's the best thing I could have
Yeah,
ever
no,
asked
that's
for.
so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like you really
fucking tight.
supplied a lot of people with like, because remember I think it was Amber Cutie was
Yeah,
like the only forum that like had any sort of
yeah,
advice on it, and
yep,
still then it really didn't have like, I mean, it had some good stuff. Like I used it so much, but
yeah. I
like
used it too.
you really have like given so many people like a way to do it by themselves, and like
Yep.
that we didn't have that. Like we didn't
Nope.
have that at all. We had to really
Nope.
figure it out by ourselves, and we just had to watch other cam girls to get it. Like
Yep.
there was no like rules or guidelines. It was like, well, just don't do the things that we say not to do on the website and
Yeah. Try not
go
to
at it,
bleed while
like
live, and you're good.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but
and
that's
still
that's it for me.
there were some yeah. No, I think that that is very true and really
Yeah.
important, and will last for a very long time
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
it's not it's still a thriving industry, and like sex
Yeah.
will be forever, and
Yeah.
like there will be people that
Yeah.
when you're like 40 will still be needing that
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
yeah,
even if
you
like,
gotta
let's say that I fast forward to being like 40 right now, if it means that one person when they were
mhm.
20 needed that information and they were able to do with it
Yeah.
to get what they needed, and now they're also 40 and they have a whole life because there was like a, not to say that like it's responsible for the whole thing, but if I was able to help even one
Hmm.
person out of a
Yeah.
situation, like that's fucking crazy.
Mhm.
That's
No, that
really
is. It's
crazy.
really, really,
Yeah,
it's really
that's
special.
peak.
Yeah.
That's fucking
Yeah.
peak. What about you?
No,
What's your
I
like?
agree.
What was your like? Okay, worth it moment.
I think, honestly, just knowing where I'm at now, I think like thinking about the person that I used to be and like how different I am, and that I can't even like relate to that side of like myself.
Yeah.
Just like the growth that I've got from it, and like learning about myself and having to like really struggle to like figure it out, that I don't think I would have honestly figured out if I wasn't in this industry. Like
Yeah.
I went from like really needing consistent attention and validation through like men in general, and then being
Yeah.
able to like find an industry that really like supplied that for me, and now being in
Mhm.
a place where like I'm celibate for almost 4 years
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
fucking wild.
That's
And
pretty wild.
I don't think I ever thought that I would ever like be in a place where like I wasn't using that as like
Mhm.
my like how I felt about myself, and
Yeah.
what made me feel special and stuff. And like now that validation like really comes internally, because like
Yeah.
where else am I going to get it from? Like
Mm.
obviously I have like a great support system, and like that that makes it a lot easier, but like to like be able to like really inner reflect and be like, damn, like I really was very lost and
Yeah.
very sad and like needing consistent validation, and like now to be able to give back to myself is just very special and sweet
Yeah.
and full
Absolutely.
circle. And I
Yeah.
like I think we both can like give our younger selves, like the girl that was fired from the law
Oh
office
yeah.
and the one that was just like, I don't even know who I am, and like give
Mhm.
them
A
their
huge hug.
hugs, and
Yeah.
say that it like it all works out, and like
Yeah, it does.
we still struggle in our own ways, and we're still adapting, but like we
Still
survived,
humans.
like we yeah, and like we really survived the industry, and like you've paved the way for so many people, especially like the non-nude side of things, and like showed that
Yeah.
like
It's
it was
fucking crazy.
possible. And
Yeah.
like with your cam girl survival, and it just like it's a whole different ball game now. And
Yeah.
I don't know, things have changed so much, and yet like they're still so similar, because I think it's because we're still friends, like
Yeah.
because it's like so easy to be in each other's lives, and like and now we're doing a podcast, and it's just like, yeah, well,
Do
obviously
a
that'd be the next
fucking
step. Like
podcast.
Yeah, like, and that is the whole point of the Professionally Hot podcast, is that, like, there are so many different streams to being professionally hot. Like,
Yeah.
it is not just cam girl life anymore. Like, you know, you
No.
have bottle service girls, and, like, we were just talking yesterday about how, like, it's an industry that is so like, it's necessary in restaurants. I mean, like, you don't want to walk into a place and have someone that doesn't take care of themselves sitting at the front desk. Like, you'll be more likely to want to buy from someone that, you know, is presenting
it's basic
themselves
human
as
nature.
Yeah,
it's basic
exactly.
human nature.
It's just crazy to, like, have been in this industry and, like, see it grow in so many different ways. And yet MFC is still the exact fucking same, and they have not changed a damn thing on the site.
Not a thing.
But that is not surprising. That's just, like, that's
kind of nice, isn't it?
That you just,
some
like,
things
end up
don't
adapting
change.
With. Yeah, like,
yeah.
But that's,
yeah.
I mean,
you know what?
Reese's
peanut butter cups.
Different ways.
Reese's peanut butter cups keep getting smaller, but MFC stays the same. And at least there's some kind of consistency in my life. Yeah. All right, so
no, it's true.
I need to take my professionally hot ass downstairs to pee because I need to pee so bad that I think I'm gonna die.
Okay. But we will have a new episode possibly soon, and we want to do one on. We need to do one on the post office, and we need to do soap, cheese, and jackets.
Soap, cheese, and jackets.
You'll just have to tune in next time to see what that actually means, and I'm sure some people will understand, but
if you know, you know.
Yes, for now. Yeah.
Yeah, but for now,
thank you for listening to us.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. That was probably mildly traumatizing. We'll be back next time to, like, freak you out some more.
We also need to shameless self promo right now because we can. So my OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/littlebaby, LITTLEBABY, and my Instagram is KenzieBaby X, and Ashley T, if you would like to supply yours.
Mine is, which one do I even use anymore? Remember how we talk right in the middle of branding? My OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/HeyAshleyT. And my Instagram, that is a graveyard that doesn't even work anymore, is instagram.com/HeyAshleyT. And my Twitter, where I'm actually a really cool, hilarious person, is twitter.com/HeyAshleyT. Also, I have a Tumblr, heyashleyti.tumblr.com, and a YouTube channel. Just if you search HeyAshleyT.
Twitch.
Oh, my Twitch is Ashley T Cozy. Yes. This is where we switch things up.
Yes.
So find me everywhere.
So we'll list them below or whatever, but go follow us because we're really great.
Because we're great and sexy. All right, thanks for listening. Bye, Kenneth. I love you. I'm hitting stopping recording now. Bye.